Hey guys, I'm Davin. Today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. As you can see from Malekith, we're going to be taking the Dark Elves today, facing off against the Warriors of Chaos. So let's go ahead and jump to the army compositions. Of course, I've got Malekith here, being a very powerful melee character and caster, one of the best hybrid type lords in the game. Let's go ahead and take a look. He's got Power of Darkness and Soul Stealer just for extra winds of magic and as much healing as possible. The idea here is you pour as much winds of magic as you can into this Soul Stealer effect. That way you get as much healing as possible on Malekith. I don't bring any other spells. I just want to go full in on the healing. You've also got Gaze of Malice, which is just a bound breath ability. Doesn't cost any winds of magic, 4 charges, does a decent amount of damage to low armor units. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Malekith. We're backing him up with 2 units of these Cold One Knights here. Armor Piercing, Anti-Large. They do have pretty poor weapon skill at only 24 attack and 26 defense. 56 charge bonus is okay. It's not great. Other units in this class have a much better charge bonus, but they make their money with their weapon strength. 30 armor piercing with a 14 bonus versus large means they're pretty good against armored large units, particularly in a cav-on-cav engagement. You don't want them to get charged directly by something like a Chaos Knight with lances, a Grail Knight, and so on, because they'll take way too much shock damage. Only 36 unit models and relatively low HP comparatively to other heavy cavalry units. Means they are a little bit squishy. Like I said, you don't want to directly take an open charge, but they can be very good in a support role. We've got a Death Hag in the front line as well for that armor piercing, anti-infantry, and the terror. Great value here with some poison. I guess it doesn't do armor piercing, but does do anti-infantry. Also causes fear and terror, so very strong. We've got 2 units of Hargoneth Executioners. That armor piercing, anti-infantry in the front line, going to be very strong against Chaos, and they're awesome looking masks. Looking very intimidating as well. We've also got a unit of Blackguard of Nagron for the elite armor-piercing anti-large. Then scattered around, we've got 3 Dread Spears for support. We've also got 1 unit of the Lizard Limos here, pulling up in range. Armor-piercing in melee, armor-piercing at ranged. Just a great, super versatile unit. We also have 1 unit of Dark Riders, and that's pretty much it for my build. For my opponent's build, you can see he's got some Chaos Knights with lances currently charging down the hill towards these Cold One chariots here. He's got 2 more units of Chaos Knights with lances, so definitely going all in for the elite tier heavy cavalry. Chaos Knights, they have more health than a lot of other elite tier heavy cavalry, which is one interesting note. They also have an insane charge bonus of 80, 120 armor. They also cause fear and excellent sustained combat stats of 42 attack, 34 defense. He's also got 1 unit of Chosen with Great Weapons. Looks like 2 units of Chosen with Great Weapons. Couple of Marauders scattered around as well. Looks like we've got 4 Chaos Marauders. A Kolek, Sun Eater is the Lord, and a Deathcaster here with Spirit Leech. Or no, it looks like just Fated Buna actually. So just looking to take down some elite tier units, cavalry or infantry. And that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's kick the battle into full gear. And over here on this side, I'm trying to bait my opponent into an unfavorable engagement, because I know with the spear support and with the armor piercing from these Cold One chariots, the 2 of them combined should be able to actually win this engagement against these Chaos Knights. So we're going to pull away with the chariots, pull through our own spears, and use them to kind of screen out here. You can see the armor-piercing shots from the chariots also doing a little bit here. They aren't going to do the most at the end of the day, but they will be able to do a little bit of damage. But once these Chaos Knights charge back, they are going to make contact with the Dread Spears. They're charging uphill, so they're not going to get as good of a charge as they would normally. But they still will do quite a bit of impact damage and start to apply their charge bonus here. There you can see the Dread Spears definitely taking some damage. But we're going to hook Malekith as well as these Lizard Limos in here for support. And again, the Lizard Limos do armor piercing. You can see over on the far side, Kolek calling in his lightning as we're baiting out an engagement with the Cold One Knights. We're trying to get the Dark Riders over and around the flank to start shooting at this unit of Chaos Knights in the back. I don't want to leave these Cold One Knights in this engagement here with Kolek for too long. We definitely want to try and force a favorable engagement anywhere we can, like over here. The Marauders have made contact now. The Lizard Limos are obviously going to do a lot of damage to them, and then just pull straight through. The Death Hag also pulling straight through, so we're going for a little bit of an alpha strike, just because the forces over on this side of the battlefield are a little bit more isolated. We've got the 2 units of Marauders that will take a ton of shock damage, and then I'm banking on the terror of the Death Hag to terrify them away quickly. You can see this unit already being terrified. This other one is soon to follow, and the Chaos Knights with lances are getting out of this pocket, so mission accomplished so far. That being said, there's still plenty of elite tier units running up the front line here. You can see I'm trying to bait, once again, just bait an unfavorable engagement here. Unfortunately, we didn't quite make contact with the Dread Spears there. The Chaos Marauder is going to be pulling in, and Kolek looking to hook around into the back line here. Very nice throwing that Fate of unit on the Black Heart of Naggarond. They're the most expensive unit in my army besides Malekith, so very nicely played there. We did manage to rout those Marauders, and again, using the Spears and the Chariots in tandem to go after the Chaos Knights. Together, they'll be able to do quite a bit of damage in support of each other. Meanwhile, on the front line, these Hargoneth Executioners took a brutal charge. Kolek also coming into the flank there, so these guys are definitely taking quite a bit of damage. But you can see these Black Heart of Naggarond kind of doing an awkward little jittery stutter step, but they're going to at least get into combat here, start to do some damage. They definitely don't want to take this fight with Chosen with Grey Weapon straight on, especially with two of them on each side, but unfortunately the Chaos Knights, or sorry, the Hargoneth Executioners temporarily being terrified there, but now the Death Hag is going to come in for support, and we've got more Hargoneth Executioners coming in as well. In the back line, we've been able to catch some of these Chaos Knights with lances here. And this other unit of Chaos Knights with lances, they're currently caught up on this Dread Spear. We did pull away these Cold One Knights to try and get a rear charge. My opponent doing a very good job catching us out on a charge here. You can see this unit of Cold One Knights is going to take a ton of shock damage from there and might even go into the Enrage bracket, which is what you want to try and avoid. You can see this Cold One Chariot here has gone Enraged, so I'm not able to pull it out and away from this engagement. Has been able to get some decent work done, racked up some chevrons, but at the end of the day, not quite enough. You can see over here, though, despite getting a nice open charge, they did a lot of damage to the one unit. But then when this other unit of Cold One Knights came in, they definitely cleaned up those Chaos Knights with lances. So now I've been able to win a little bit of a cavalry advantage here. We've still got a few units of Chaos Knights with lances ping-ponging around, catching up my Dark Riders a little bit here. A slight mismicro from me. We did get the entire rear line there. You can see those Dark Riders got caught and killed there. But we are going to be chasing off with the Dread Spears. In this main engagement here, it's pretty atrocious on both sides. I mean, Chosen with Grey Weapons will definitely beat down Hargoneth Executioners, but the Hargoneth Executioners will be able to do some damage in return. But with Kolek in here, it's going to be a very rough engagement. You can see Kolek coming forward. There are some Black Heart of Naggarond here, though, which is going to be pretty dangerous, so I'm going to turn around and take this engagement here. You can see we've been able to create, because Kolek over-pursued here, we've been able to create a little bit of separation between Kolek and these Chosen with Grey Weapons here. Very well played from my opponent, though, when I dropped that Soul Stealer from Malekith. He's going to pull Kolek out of that area of effect, so I only caught those Chosen. It is going to heal Malekith somewhat, who has got tangled up with Kolek previously, but now we're going to get in proper, and with the support of these Black Heart of Naggarond here and the Death Hag, Malekith should be getting in there. He looks like he's chomping on some Chosen heads currently. But yeah, we're going to path him to go after Kolek here. And I mean, if Kolek focuses his attacks appropriately on Malekith, he'll do a ton of damage. But we actually dropped the ability there, the Fury of Cain, from the Death Hag, and helped buff up Malekith's stats there to take on Kolek a little bit. Kolek wisely pulling away, but again, we're going to use these Cold One Knights. Anytime that we get a favorable engagement, like we catch Kolek away from the support here, we're going to get in. Most of the Chaos Knights with lances have been cleaned up. We've still got the Dark Riders on station, and most of the infantry fight is cleaned up at this point as well. My opponent is going to admit defeat there. It was a very fun battle, very close battle, but it is going to be a victory for the Dark Elves. And, you know, I oftentimes talk about how the Dark Elves suffer in the mobility phase. They really don't have a lot of great cav options. That being said, you can see how even against a strong heavy cavalry army, you know, an elite tier heavy cavalry army, like what my opponent brought here from Chaos, I was still able to carry the day. Malekith, of course, playing a big part of that, doing a ton of damage to Kolek and keeping himself alive, most importantly, with that Soul Stealer. The Death Hag also getting the terror routes early on is very, very key. You can see both the Chosen with Grey Weapons for my opponent didn't really perform. The Chaos Knights with Lances also didn't perform very well either. We were able to catch him in an unfavorable engagement with the Cold One Chariots. Most of those 26 kills came against the Chaos Knights with Lances there. So them combining with the Spears over on that left flank definitely helped win the day. Likewise, the Cold One Knights managed to get a few favorable engagements where they were able to finish off some of the Chaos Knights with Lances as well. Hargoneth Executioners also doing pretty well for themselves in the mainline engagement with the support of the Death Hag and everything. So a very, very fun, wild battle, very close battle at the end of the day. Well played to my opponent. I definitely see what he's going for here. I do think maybe you could cut one of these units of Chaos Knights with Lances and bring some Marauders. because if you have the Marauders with throwing axes, then you can come in. I mean, Marauders will outclass Dark Riders, so you can chase them off for one thing. And number two is you could get in and then pitch your axes either to these Cold One Knights or into the Cold One Chariot. Either of these units, if you get enough damage into them at range with the axes, is going to enrage, and then you can just kite them around with your Marauders. They'll never see combat. You know, easier said than done, but I definitely think a couple of Marauders with throwing axes would have been beneficial for my opponent. Otherwise, I quite like this army. I mean, Kolek's a world beater. The Death Sorcerer, you know, it's not a very exciting pick, but it's a safe pick, and you'll definitely get your value out of it. You know, the Chosen with Grapens can be pretty decent in this matchup. Marauders are a decent chaff tier infantry. Just we were able to force the favorable engagements there and to carry the day. So well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, feel free to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, all that jazz. Thank you very much for watching once again, and we'll see you next time.